How's everybody doing? Let's talk about today's price action, everyone. Obviously, most of you will think I want to talk about today's this, which is not. The thing that I want to talk about really is how most, and it doesn't matter, investor, trader, let's just, unify everyone under one umbrella and say market participant. You as a market participant need to be aware of the larger cyclicality at play. Why? Because if you're not going to be aware of the larger cyclicality at play, you're going to get caught up and be far too busy, preoccupied, if you will, with the day-to-day ebb and flow, the minutia that happens every day. And we're going to have a lot of it, obviously. Gaps, schmaps, all sorts of noise in between. Some of it I even talk about, the harmonic patterns and all that. What you really need to be aware of, and something I've been warning all along, and my students are well aware, I'm not going to deviate into that right now. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. By the way, comments in the description will take you to the right places and all that. If you want to leave a comment and all that wonderful stuff, absolutely feel free. So as you can see, we're now moving into this some form of a wedge of sorts, right? Like so, if you will. Of course, being generated via the main resistance, the main force that's holding us back right now is this horizontal level that we have roughly. It's a range, of course, as we are accustomed to, roughly 69.70 to 69.80, 86 in this case. Although we have shown that there are multiple levels around that. Just to sort of show you that these levels really are very valid and very accurate. Here they are. Here are these two levels coming into play here, and here, more and more and more. In fact, right there. I don't know why is that so off, right? Somewhere should be right there, marking this thing. But you get the idea. So these levels have been confirmed, and we know they are at least respected by the market. What we really want to look at is the broader picture. Something I've been highlighting all along and people do not realize. The same way when you take your foot off the gas pedal, you don't immediately, simply by doing that action, go into reverse. But no, you start losing your momentum slowly, right? And over time you end up slowing down to the point where the car comes to a halt, but it does not kick in reverse unless you put the car in reverse and actively press the gas pedal. Won't you, right? That's exactly how it works. Similarly so, that loss of momentum is very gradual. Oftentimes, various analysts and market reviewers on YouTube and whatever you want to call them highlight this and call this, almost make an analogous of this to the boiling the frog or the boiling the crab. Doesn't matter, you get the idea, right? Similarly so, the trend has been curving or flattening, if you want to perceive it as something you may be familiar with, is the bell curve. The bell curve has its processes. Obviously this trend, this trend, this trend, and this trend are not identical. And the funny thing is about the cyclicality, it can play out in multiple ways. If we zoom in on this particular area, right, just on that area, yes, it can play out like so. It can also play out like so and then drop rapidly and even further, right? It doesn't have to look precisely like the bell curve we're familiar with, which is a textbook example, right? You need to understand a lot of the things we're familiar with are textbook examples, right? And unfortunately, the market, when you look at the market, especially at the technical aspect of things, you have to consider the crosswinds, the side effects, the noise that comes into play that affects how the market are behaving. And so, to be objective, we look at the current structure of the cycle. For example, if we're using a very simple momentum indicator, such as the stochastic RSI, we can see confluence right there. Okay, that really is not how I wanted it. I wanted it more like so. Confluence around the 50, which symbolizes our transition from bullish to bearish. Everything above 50 is bullish. Everything below 50 is bearish, okay? And the more we go lower below 50, the more we basically are accelerating in reverse, okay? Going back to the previous analogous. So looking at our daily, look at our sort of mid-sized or length time frames, they're pointing that we are moving towards that particular direction. On some of them, we already hit that 50 mark point. On the weekly, we have been on it for quite a while, entangled, revolving around, if you whichever term you want to use. On the monthly, in fact, on the other hand, we've been signaling. It's funny how the market participant, again, the average market participant, how come I did not get a notice? How come I was not notified? I was not told that the market is going to do this or that. Yes, it has notified you. It has been yelling, screaming at you, having blurring alarms, just telling you that that's exactly what it's going to do. Start a deeper correction. And again, if you know the cyclicality, you understand why that is going to happen, why that cyclicality plays out the way it does. So what are the rules? If you're not familiar with it, it will never make any sense. You cannot connect the dots you are not familiar with nor aware of, right? So we first need to be aware of and familiar with the idea of the cyclicality and what are the so-called dots you need to connect, and then connect them, right? There's quite a process. And so guess what? If you're not aware of it, yes, you may as well be blind to it. And if you're blind to it, guess what? You're not going to understand what is coming. And when it's going to hit you, it's going to be far too late. Which, ironically enough, the current cycle played out in such a way that most market participants have received more than their share of opportunity to get out, do, adjust, so many things they could have done. But the blinding lack of, or the blinding ignorance to the technical rules, and it's not just technical rules. Technical rules are math, are basic math. You can ask the students in my community, which, quick reminder, have just one spot in the academy right now, just one final spot available, and plenty of people who are already competing for it. And no, I do not accept everyone. That's just kind of how it works. And no, you do not sign up through the Patreon. You sign up directly through a conversation with me. First, you go to the Discord and all that great stuff. So in the grand scheme of things, if we're looking at the larger cycle, the market have been yelling and telling you that it's going to break for quite a long time. It's you haven't been able to accept that fact because it's unpleasant. It's kind of weird. Again, the more you're aware, the more you study and understand how these rules work, why do they work the way they do, you can understand what it is the market has been trying to tell us. And funny enough, actually, sort of referring back to that bell curve, it can play out in such a way that it first gets a sharp rally upwards and only then starts breaking also sharply downwards to what will feel like sort of looking from the longer point of view, from the longer perspective. Why? Because most people look at these occurrences later down the line through a very narrow lens, through a lens of larger time frames, and everything then becomes bulky and you cannot identify that the market was saying what it was saying. For example, the difference between the curvature right here and here. Well, technically they're the same, but it's not the same place in a cycle. You see? It's almost like saying, in a race, I should take a left here because it looks similar to the left before, then thus it must be a left here. But well, no. Similar or not, it doesn't matter. There is a cycle that plays out whether you like it or not. And more so, again, the conditions are quite suitable for that correction. We've been seeing this all along, saying this since the pandemic, really. The pandemic really was the first bump, if you will, in the cyclicality that signifies that we are exactly where we thought we are, that allowed us then to calculate the particular amount of legs and see that they are the exact amount that we need to find within that particular part of the cycle, and then be able to identify through that we are where we think we are in the cycle, right? Identifying that there is a larger correction at play, far larger than what we had during COVID. And a lot of people are blind to this, absolutely blind. No one is talking about this. No analysts, no YouTubers, no one. I've seen very few people, and I'm familiar with very few people who are even aware of this. And the sad thing is, again, later people will ask, how come I was not notified? How come the market didn't tell me? The market was screaming at you for months on end. Literally. In fact, I will tell you something sad that most people do not recognize, that the loss of momentum actually started at the end of 2025. And most people look back in the future in retrospect and will say, well, we actually broke down in 2026. No, that's not true. We didn't break in 2026. In fact, the correction started in 2025. But again, you're blind to it. And it doesn't matter. Looking just at the basic, really basic technical tools, those are the equivocal of looking, outside of your windshield as you're driving. You can see only the traffic in front of you, not what is happening a couple of kilometers ahead of you, right? Being able to use technical tools and analyze the chart on your own is actually that ability to look ahead, to understand what is coming ahead and why that's coming ahead. Let me brag a little bit, since we're already there for a second. I'm gonna sort of do this thing. I want to try and brag a little bit about my community, by the way, which my community is not surprised by anything that happened. If it's Palantir, if it's the S&P, the subsequent related assets, the various sectors that are behaving the way they have. I update my community on the daily basis here on Discord, as you can see. And in fact, it is so normalized for me to identify and predict the price action in advance, sometimes days in advance, right? That we actually make fun of this and kind of make fun by throwing in all these gifs with, oh, it's so random. Ooh, who could have predicted that? Who could have seen this? We literally did this kind of the running gag in the community. And yes, I update the community on the daily basis. We, like you can see again, like, pretends to be shocked, right? That's exactly what we're doing in the community. We discuss the various factors, right? The sort of fundamental story that comes about and brings about some of these side effects, these crosswinds. And also, of course, we discuss the technical aspects that then expose what it is that the market is truly doing. And sometimes, yes, make fun of how predictable the market is. Magic and all that beautiful stuff, right? Of course, we have meetings. By the way, today we have our meeting with everyone that I do post in my schedule channel. We do have monthly meetings for everyone. My academy students actually get 2 meetings a week. By the way, before I go on, I want to highlight this. I'll just move myself a little bit right here so you can see this stuff. So you can see as I said, the prices have been hiked, and now it's $50 to sign up for that basic tier. You can get a discount. Yeah, it used to be 30. Now you can get this discount if you sign up annually. By signing annually, you can change this little ticker, and you get to have your. I think it's the first month, or some form of an extra discount, of course. And then it will be 40 instead of 50. Do not sign up directly through iOS. I know they charge you like a lot more for some weird reason, like 25%. Just sign up directly through the website. That will, of course, give you access. Otherwise, you'll be stuck right here in limbo, right? If you want to apply to the academy, you apply to the academy through this button, through the academy application. Then you get to talk to me. And, of course, we discuss everything. And, well, I'm, again, in the way. Here it is. You get to go here in the sort of entrance of the Discord. And you get to comment on sort of your application. You make an application, and then we discuss it. And if I feel like you're suitable for the community, yes, I do not accept everyone and anyone. So yeah, you can just sign up to your Patreon, and through the Patreon, then when you are already part of the community, right, you can go through here through the support and apply to the academy as well. Basically, it doesn't matter whether you're at the door or already inside. You can apply to the academy. Yes, my community members get various meetings that are, pardon me, a lot of extra stuff that you guys don't get to know about. And so when you see me sometimes make fun of something that was absolutely obvious, yes, I do not post. Guess what? I post this for the people who actually are in the community. This is not a public community. It's a private community. Only members get to participate. So yeah, definitely sign up. You'll be in the know. You will not be surprised. I know, for example, yesterday in the meeting, I confirmed this. Some of my members are very in the green on silver, for example, predicted it far in advance and were able to execute before it plummeted. So that's kind of the smart way to go about things. But to do that, you need to know what is truly happening in the market, what the cyclicality is, what the momentum is showing, and all that great stuff. To know that, join the community, and I will teach you one-on-one. That's it, boys and girls. Comments, like links in the description and all that beautiful stuff. Comments are welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and watch the other videos on the channel. I tremendously appreciate that. And don't miss out, boys and girls. Most of you, those who are not familiar with what really is going on, are utterly blind to that loss of momentum and the curvature that is taking place, and yeah, are not going to be ready and will lose a lot of money. So don't be one of those people. You all have a wonderful day. See you in the next one. Bye bye.